Guys, this is it. This is the finale of attachment theory in this form as we know it. If you've been here from the beginning, you've heard the emotional backstory of my new record, Attachment Theory, in real time. And this episode is based on the last song, the one that ties the whole record together. However, stay tuned until the end because I do have some happy news, some exciting news about the future of this podcast and the attachment theory universe. So, in a world that tells us to be self sufficient and detached, a lot of people are walking around lonely and losing relational skills because of it. We are human beings. We are not meant to go alone. It's actually not very natural the way we live today. And this is coming from someone who lives by herself and loves her alone time more than just about anything. Now, I know all season I've talked about choosing yourself, building self trust, not shrinking, leaving when someone can't meet you. But this isn't a contradiction because self trust is not about needing no one, it's about being discerning with who you let in. So today is about the other half of that picture. Once you trust yourself, you are allowed to need people too. That's the whole point we've been building to. And that's what this record is about, connection. And this healthy version of connection is called interdependence. There's a great quote from The Body Keeps the Score. The need for attachment never lessens. Most human beings simply cannot tolerate being disengaged from others for any length of time. That means that we are born dependent, and that need for closeness doesn't just vanish when we become adults. It just changes a little bit. Even as adults, our nervous systems still co-regulate with the people around us through touch, eye contact, being listened to. They literally lower our stress response. So we don't just want love as a concept. We are safer in our bodies because of it. Of course, if you want the full map of the 4 attachment styles and what's happening chemically underneath them, go back to episode 8. That is the foundation. But today I'm less interested in talking about which attachment style you are and more in the idea that whatever you're wiring, the need for attachment is not a flaw. So if you light up when someone texts you back or you spiral when you feel ignored, that's not just you being dramatic, and that's not always your attachment style flaring up for you. Craving connection is normal. It's as normal as craving food or craving rest. It's not neediness, it is our nature. In May 2023, the US Surgeon General put out a formal advisory calling loneliness an epidemic. This was just 3 years ago. The lead researcher on it, Julianne Holt-Lundstad, found that the mortality impact of being socially disconnected is comparable to smoking up to 15 cigarettes a day. And it's a bigger risk than obesity or being physically inactive. Chronic disconnection is tied to higher rates of heart disease, stroke, dementia, depression, and anxiety. So when I say we weren't built to do things alone, I don't just mean emotionally. Your body is literally keeping the score. We are more obsessed with our screens and more physically alone than we've ever been, and it's making us sick. So let's talk about co-regulation. Co-regulation is why you can have a horrible day and then a friend picks up the phone and talks to you and you feel a million times better. It's why your shoulders drop and you can relax when someone you trust walks into the room. It's why you feel so good when somebody says they've got you or they're here for you. A securely bonded nervous system borrows calm from people around you. And while, yes, there are obviously things you can do on your own to regulate, co-regulation is a great tool and something we are built for. As an introvert, reaching out to others to talk about things is not always my first instinct. I love journaling and yoga and watching funny videos or all these things that I've learned as somebody who's anxiety prone to regulate my own emotions. But we all know nothing is better than a good chat with one of your friends, okay? That's why I want to talk a little bit about a myth I keep hearing online and in the world, that you need to heal first before you can love someone else. There's this idea that you have to fix yourself first, as in you're going to have maybe some complete healing journey before you've earned the right to be in a relationship And I get the intention because, yes, we need to work on ourselves, but growth is a continuous journey. And a lot of the things, especially with attachment issues, are hard to heal outside of a relationship because the nature of the wound is relational. So that's why so often you'll see people actually heal their insecure attachment styles in relationship with a secure partner, or maybe with another insecure partner if you're both working really hard to become more secure. But this idea that you have to fix yourself first, I think, is creating some sort of emotional perfectionism, or I don't know, idea that there's some end goal you're going to reach and then you're ready to be in a relationship. And once again, yes, you might need to do a certain amount of growth. I don't know your particular situation, but I do think that it's not that clear cut. And a lot of the time, healing in a healthy relationship can fast track your growth better than you could ever grow alone, because when you're alone, you're not having to face those relational issues that you're attempting to heal, essentially. It can isolate people that are in pain who would likely heal faster with support and co regulation in a relationship. And it ignores the truth of our human nature, which is we are not meant to complete ourselves and then be loved. We grow through love. We co regulate with each other. We mirror each other. We try to see and be seen, if you will. Relationships are not a distraction from healing. They're often where your healing finally happens. I don't think we need to be romanticizing a version of strength that doesn't need anyone else. That is honestly avoidant, not strength. It's survival mode with a new term. I talked a little bit about the social media hyper independent side of stuff back in the Look Up episode if you want to listen to that. So let's talk about the difference between being codependent and interdependent. So codependence versus interdependence. That's what I mentioned at the beginning. What we're striving for is interdependence. Needing someone else is not codependency. Losing yourself in someone else is codependency. Codependency sounds like if you're okay, I'm okay. Or I'll shrink who I am so that you stay with me. Or if you leave me, I don't know who I am. It's when you get your identity wrapped up in keeping the other person happy, even when it costs you sacrificing yourself deeply. I don't mean sacrificing in a relationship. I mean sacrificing who you are. Interdependence sounds like I know who I am and I still choose you. Or I can stand on my own, but I don't have to. We can lean on each other without losing ourselves. Interdependence is built on mutual respect, communication, trust, etc. Connection isn't fusion. You don't have to disappear to be loved. And you don't have to be alone to be strong and be yourself. Interdependence says, I am strong on my own, and I'm even stronger with a healthy partner beside me. Like I said, saying I'm fine on my own can be a trauma response. It can be avoidance. It basically just feels safer to say I'm fine on my own than to risk disappointment. Wanting someone to be in your life, to check in, to hold you, to reassure you, that is not clingy. That is your nervous system asking for safety and co-regulation. Because it seems like connection is getting harder in the modern day era, in this era, it's very easy for people to just say, you know what? I'm good. That's Tim Robinson's voice. I'm good. I'm good on my own. Because it seems easier to not have to navigate all of the relationship issues. And sometimes it is. Sometimes it does detract from the rest of your life, because when you're in an unhealthy dynamic, it can take up your mental space, your emotional space, make you physically exhausted, honestly. So there's validity to it sometimes being easier to not be in a relationship. But a healthy relationship should enrich your life. And so we can't just throw the baby out with the bathwater. You know what I mean? We can't just say, okay, I'm not going to be in a relationship at all because it detracts from the rest of my life. A healthy relationship should add to your life and make it better. It should make it easier for you to co-regulate, easier for you to feel good at the end of the day. Obviously, it won't be like that day in and day out. There will be challenges, but overall, that is the goal of healthy interdependence. And Alienation, the song this episode is based on, isn't just a love song about one person. It's also about looking up out into space and wondering if there's something bigger out there and where in all of that vast space your person is. I think the longing for a partner and the longing for meaning come from the same place. We want to know that we belong to something or someone or somewhere. Attachment isn't only about a romantic relationship. It's the human reach towards not being alone in the universe. Your best friends, your family, your faith, your creative collaborators, anybody who feels like home to you and makes you feel connected. So, what if you haven't found your person yet? What if you're in this space still of wondering if they're even out there or if it's even possible for you to have a relationship or find that person? If you are listening to this and thinking, what if I keep showing up for love and it just isn't happening for me? The good news is you do not need a romantic partner to have real nourishing connection. Your nervous system doesn't check what category of person is co-regulating with you. So it can still happen before you find this person. Co-regulation, mirroring, and safety can come from friendships. It can come from your chosen family, your mentors, your community. When a friend hugs you and listens to you and validates you, that's also attachment. Romantic love is powerful and it's singular in its own way, but it's not the only thing that heals us. Trust me, my life does not match the timeline that I imagined, but that's okay. It doesn't mean that you're all alone in the ways that count. Your longing for partnership is real, and it is something to honor in your life and not transcend or ignore. You can keep looking for that romantic love while also making room for the love that is available to you in your life right now. So ask yourself, where do you already feel seen, even in small ways? How do you lean into that instead of waiting for romance to do all the work for you? What community would help you feel anchored? And can you start nurturing that and building that? Reach out to someone in your life who makes you feel safe. Be that safe person for somebody else. And think of intimacy and co-regulation and connection as a daily practice for you, not just a romantic milestone. I also think that helps take the pressure off of relationships, romantic relationships, because we expect marriages or long-term partners to be our one-stop shop now for everything in our life. And that's not historically how it has been. We definitely have a community problem. Your romantic partner is a person and they're not there simply to serve every connection need that you have in your life. Although I'm a long-term relationship person and I love to spend time with my partner and I do like my alone time, but a lot of my connection usually comes from my romantic relationship. And that's normal too, but we do have a whole community. We have friends, we have family, we have people around us in the world that can provide us with those different elements that maybe you're not always able to get from your partner. Maybe your partner's going through a hard time and you're there supporting them, but you also need someone in your life that can support you in a way that they're not available for right now. You get the picture. We need a broader community of connection. Attachment is not just about romance. And if you struggle with connecting with others, sometimes you can grow that through just small moments of repeated honesty. Telling someone in your life something a little bit truer than you normally might, and letting them do the same back. If you're trying to build connections, get into rooms where the same faces show up every week, whether that's a class, a church, some sort of club, a volunteer shift. Closeness develops from proximity to people and repetition. So, not from one new perfect friend appearing in your life, but you kind of reaching out and creating that community. And don't be afraid to be the person that reaches out first. A lot of people are waiting to be invited. Awkwardness is normal. Alienation is about looking up and wondering where your person is out there. It ends with the line, "Are you alone?" And the answer we have been building towards this whole season is no, you're not alone. Not in the ways that matter, and not if you let people in. So, if you've ever felt ashamed of how much you want love and connection, remember it is not a flaw. It is how we are built. It's longing. It is your humanity. You do not have to outgrow the need for love. You don't have to earn connection by healing yourself and being perfect. You're allowed to want someone or someones to walk through life with while you're still figuring it out. Ask yourself, where have you been pretending to not need connection? Or have you held yourself to a standard of independence that's actually hurting you? And what would it feel like to let yourself need someone and still believe that you're strong? Because that's normal. You're not broken, you're awake, and you're allowed to want it. And of course, here are some affirmations for you. My need for connection is not a flaw. Healing doesn't have to happen alone. I'm allowed to love and be loved as I am. Now, a little update for you. The original concept of this podcast was that it would have 11 episodes, one for each song on my album that relates to the subject of each song. But I've had so much fun doing it, and it has been far and above as far as reception of anything I could have expected. And I'm so happy about that because it has done exactly what I hoped it would do, which is become a form of connection, become a form of, I don't want to say therapy because I'm not a therapist, but you know what I mean? A form of that for people. Seems to have reached people in the way that I hoped it would. And so I am taking this original concept, these first 11 episodes, and setting that as season 1. So this original concept of each episode relating to a song, it all being about attachment theory and relationships, will be season 1 and will always be here for you to listen to. But I am not going to stop the podcast as originally intended. I am going to start a season 2, and that season 2 will be ongoing. And today I am launching a Substack. The podcast will still be available wherever you listen, but it will also be available on my Substack. And season 2 will be ongoing, looser. It's not one song per episode. There's no fixed order. It's just whatever I'm thinking about in love, attachment, being a person, and all of my many interests. I really like Substack so far because I think it's a more thoughtful platform. It's still a newer platform, and so people really want to dive into things there and go long form, and I love writing. I have had essays published about music and about anxiety and about all kinds of things in different publications and anthologies, and so I wanted to not only collect some of those there, but write new things there as well and put my podcast there so everything lives in one place. So I'm so excited to be continuing this journey and connecting with my speaking voice, but also my writing. So please head over to Substack. I'll put the link in the show notes. You can subscribe there so you don't miss anything. The cool thing about Substack is when you subscribe, you can get emails of everything I post. So there's no algorithm deciding whether you see the post or not. Just like when you subscribe to a podcast, you will always get the essays and episodes. And the first essay is already up. It is there waiting for you. It's a little bit more about why I wanted to start a Substack, and I hope you like it. It's also going to be the best place now to send me any questions you have. I love answering questions on the podcast. I wish people would send me more, honestly. I just think it's really fun because it's a direct way for me to actually hear what you're concerned about and want to know, and then offer whatever advice that I have to give or any experiences or thoughts that I have based on not only my own experience, but my endless curiosity about this subject. But it can be about anything too. It can be about music. It can be, now that we're kind of loosening things up as the podcast continues, that's going to be really fun because we can get into all kinds of stuff. I truly have so many interests. I would get bored if I could only talk about one thing forever. And as much as connection and attachment theory are a huge interest for me, and I will continue to talk about them as well, there are other things I love talking about. But wrapping up this episode and this initial concept, I have a song for you. This is the last song on my record, Attachment Theory. It plays at the very end, and it's the final note of season 1. This song is the feeling of searching for something bigger and wondering where your person is in all of that. That is the question that this whole season has been circling, and I think the answer is the thing we just talked about in this episode, which is we were never meant to do life alone. See you next time. Alienation. We're not alone. You're up there somewhere out in space. There's no unknown. I felt it all in your embrace. If this season meant something to you, please follow the show, share it with someone who needs it, and come find me on Substack for season 2 and all the extras and essays and thoughts that I have beyond the podcast. That's where everything is going to continue. The podcast will still come to your inbox on whatever platform you listen, and you can find the music wherever you listen and follow me on socials at Aubrie Sellers.